You know, if you guys want to drop your skincare routines and drink choices live, so do. But since everyone's here, it's 11:40. I'm going to call the meeting to order. And we're going to start from the top of the agenda with roll call. So I said by raise hands here. I don't know if this is easier for you, Tala. Is raising hands easier or is just by voice easier?
We could try the hand, raising the hand.
Okay. So everyone, if you're present and you're here, please raise your hand and we'll just do attendance by that, looking at the participants menu.
Okay. Let me just open to that.
Yep. So let's see, if you're on your laptop, it should be, I feel like it should be on the bottom of the screen. If you're on your phone, I think you have to go to the bottom of the screen for the menu as well. All right, fantastic. Look at all those raised hands. Great. Once again, if you're present, if you're listening, if you're a member of the SGA Senate, please raise your hand to be marked as present.
Sorry to stop all of you, but I have to like restart the live. Sorry.
That's okay. Oh. And are you recording, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So we'll just do the hand raise function for now. And at the end, Tala, if there are any absences, you can just announce them. Okay? Awesome. All right. So moving along, approval of the minutes. So they're hyperlinked within the agenda. These are the minutes for September 21st, 2020. So it's the last meeting. Oh, I'm sorry. I believe I hyperlinked the wrong thing again. Give me just a moment to correct that. I'm sorry. It was a little bit later than I had hoped when I was doing this. But now all the agenda and meetings, like minutes, they're all available to you guys via the link in the Google Drive. They're also available to all of the students if they're interested in looking over those. So this is for the minutes. That's the Google Drive folder. And this is for the agenda. All right. So if there's no objection, we will approve the minutes for September 21st, 2020, general body meeting of the SGA. Okay, hearing no objection, the minutes from last meeting have been approved. Moving along to executive board reports, the chair recognizes the president for statements on RUSA and the referendum.
Thank you. Sorry, it took a second. Okay, so yeah, I just want to share a quick update on that. So the president of RUSA, he was telling me that they were thinking of doing 2 different referenda for this upcoming fall election. And I haven't heard anything back, right? I wanted to link you, the Senate, involved into that process, but I haven't heard anything back. And I think it's because it just fell through because their election starts today and they have like roughly 30 seats to fill in this election. So I think with the heavy load of candidates, they kind of just let it go. So, you know, if you guys still want to do a referendum on our fall election, that's something you can do, right? They proposed having students on board of governors and also about fossil fuels divestment. the fall election, though, the voter turnout is not very good, to be honest. So they did have an idea of using the "Are You Here" system, petitioning to be able to use that for a referendum. I think that's a great idea, but it's also probably a bureaucratic nightmare in trying to do that for the first time. So the "Are You Here" system's that thing where every semester it's like, confirm your attendance. Are you coming here or you're not, right? And every time you log in, every student has to like affirm something. So the idea was like, use that for a referendum and every student would see it and vote, increase voter turnout. So that's something that could be looked in for the future, but I don't think they have any referenda questions on their current ballot. So I wanted to give an update on that. Also, every fall, the SGA holds an open forum for like high administrators, Rutgers Newark. So that's kind of like postponed indefinitely because we want to be able to have the meeting with the chancellor's office first. And in order to have the meeting with the chancellor's office and her staff, we got to figure out an agenda, right, and give it to her in advance. So we had some ideas like earlier in the summer. I forwarded that like list to Tanvi, your speaker, and you guys in the background can kind of like see if you want to add anything. Some of the things aren't relevant anymore. They can be taken away. Just like look over that, and then we can have like a collaborative process and get that agenda over to the chancellor, and then we can have that meeting and then eventually the open forum.
Thank you, President. And thank you, Madam Secretary, for taking the attendance. Once again, please stay active if you do feel comfortable and you are able. Please also have your mic muted and your camera on so that we may best represent the student body. Talking about minutes and agenda accessibility, I touched upon this a little bit already, but everything should now be hyperlinked in the agenda, and you guys should have access to those Google folders. If there are any issues accessing any of the previous agendas or minutes, please let me know, and I'll clear that up immediately. Please let me know, and I'll clear that up immediately. Let me see. Talking about Zoom and like security. So this is done through the Run SGA Zoom account, which unfortunately is not a professional or like paid account by default. So starting from the next meeting, and I'll be in contact with our media team about this, but we're going to send out a campus-wide email. And I'm just going to host it from my student account, like my HLC 63, just so I don't have to keep paying for the membership. This chair recognizes Tanvi.
Sorry, Harrison, my connection is really bad. What, you were like really choppy, so what did you just say? Sorry.
Okay, so meeting minutes. Here, I'll put it in the chat as well. So meeting minutes and agenda are now all publicly available.
Are you talking about the Internal Affairs Committee?
No. We haven't touched on that yet.
Oh, sorry.
No worries. And we're switching the Zoom link to Rutgers. This also will be a little bit more secure, and we're going to ask that students access our Zoom meetings using the Rutgers login as well. And if we have outside guests, then we'll, if they're not from Rutgers, then we can figure that out once we get there. Okay, so now moving on to committee reports. Are there any reports from the Internal Affairs Standing Committee?
May I be recognized?
Recognized.
So far I have no reports to give on the Internal Affairs Committee, but I would like to say that whoever wants to be involved in that, please let me know and please contact me so that I can add you to whatever group chats that may be created in the future. But yeah, thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Speaker. And to clarify, the Internal Affairs Committee will be responsible for making any necessary changes to the bylaws or amendments. This was like a working group last year, but when we went back through the Constitution and the bylaws, we found out this is actually standing committee. And there's a lot of important work to be done here. I did like a lot of the changes last year with the bylaws. I encourage anyone who's interested in getting further involved to take this opportunity. Okay, so now are there any reports from the Elections Committee?
Yes, may I be recognized, Mr. Chairman?
Recognized.
Hi, everyone. Sarah Shobot Sasson, representative to the University Senate. I'm sorry, I am at work right now. But so we met last week. We created the committee and we established Ricky Castaneda as the secretary. And we came up with a tentative timeline that has been shared, I believe, with the e-board through the email. I don't have the dates on me right now, but we were hoping to get an email out by today or tomorrow. That way we can have interested candidates submit a letter of intent. Basically, instead of doing the signatures that we did in past elections, because given we're online and it's kind of hard for students to go and collect signatures, and it would just cost the committee money and a lot of time, and we are running very low on that. And so we decided to go with the letter of intent, which basically is what RUSA also does. Basically, the candidate would just submit that this is the position that they're interested in. They would put the year that they're in school, their GPA, and the school that they are under, and just basic information that we would have asked for in the petition anyways. We are in contact with RUSA's elections committee to see the process that they are conducting their elections on and how that's working. And we're still waiting on Dean Williams to approve the email that will be queued. And just if there's any questions, that we did not think of, we're waiting on that. And other than that, I believe we're okay. Anyone else from the committee want to jump in and chime in?
Hey, this is Ricky. I think you nailed everything. You nailed all the points. I think you're good.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thanks again to the Elections Committee for organizing that. We're going to move on to Senate reports. So university senators, anyone who was in attendance for the most recent University Senate meeting, that is, I believe, September 25th, this past Friday. If you would like to share the results from your working groups or your committees within the Senate, as well as from the overall meeting.
May I be recognized again, Mr. Chairman?
Recognized again, University Senate.
Thank you. Again, Sasson representative. I currently am serving on the Student Affairs Committee. The chair of it as of right now is Dr. Maddow. And we're working on a few charges. The most pressing one is evaluating the Title IX Review Committee that has been appointed by the University Senate, I believe. Actually, don't quote me on that, to review the policy, the Title IX policy that we have in place, and to make changes to the policy, given what President Trump has put out and how the university itself needs to change and update the policy. So we're working with the ASRAC committee, academic standards, something, regulations, something. And so we're working with them, and we're working with the vice president of risk management of the university to evaluate the committee's work. There are a few hiccups here and there. And as a student that served on the Title IX committee that was making the reviews, we are really conducting the research as to how the mechanics of it went and the timeline of it, and how many students representation was on the committees and whatnot. And we basically, the whole point of that is to ensure that no students are being disfranchised with the policy, because at the end of the day, we're here to serve the students and the faculty. So we're making sure that everything that is now in place and will be voted on by the Board of Governors, I believe early November, will be for the benefit of the overall student body.
Thank you. Any of the other university senators
Mr. Chairman, I request to be recognized.
recognized? Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Ricky Castaneda, Sassen rep to the University Senate. I sit in the University Governance and Structure Committee. Basically in our committee, we just talked about, like six or seven charges that we were working on this year, the Senate year. And one of the ones that's actually really important, and I actually volunteered to do some research on, is on the how SGAs are actually set up and structured campus by campus. Some campuses don't have a layout. I'm not entirely sure or confident to say that we necessarily have a layout in Newark as to how student governments are even formed. I only know very few details as to like when there used to be like an NCAS, SGA, and an RBS, and then one year like everyone kind of joined together. So like, how did that? Basically, I'm tasked to do is to like do research on that. Like, who did that? Like, did the students do it on themselves? Did the dean suggest to do that? And so yeah, so that's what I'm tasked to do. I'm tasked to do some research, and hopefully like solidify some type of policy in the university policy for SGAs going forth. I use my time.
Thank you, University Senator. And hopefully your findings, if you're not directly on the Internal Affairs Committee yourself, will help shape our charter and bylaws and help us become more efficient and equitable. So thank you. Are there any other university senators who would like to report on the most recent meeting?
Actually, may I request the floor?
Recognized.
I'm sorry, I did completely forget one other thing that we discussed. President Holloway also gave his address on our first University Senate meeting. He touched upon a lot of the stuff that he's hopefully able to like accomplish and such, and a bunch of senators had an opportunity to ask questions. One of them being the pressing question that the president, our SGA president, currently brought up about the referendum, which by the way is actually still going on in New Brunswick. It's on their ballots. But going back to the other point is Gavin Mays, who's the Senate leader, the interim Senate leader of the student caucus. He asked the question about whether or not does the Rutgers president, support having student representation on the board of governors, and the president wasn't able to give a response. It was really like, I don't know, like I wasn't necessarily comfortable with the response that he gave. He was really backing out, and not just on that question, but a lot of the questions that a lot of the faculty and staff brought up. He really just backed away. I mean, granted, he is a new president, but like he's been on since July. We are towards the end of October. We're reaching October now, and he's just getting these information. Kind of concerns me. Maybe that's the process of transition or such, but he wasn't able to give a response because he says he doesn't know enough about the situation. A lot of what the faculty was bringing up was about the equity and employment issues that have been going on the last few years at Rutgers. A lot of it has to do with what do you call it? A lot of it has to do with the hiring practices and the pay discrepancies among different genders at Rutgers University and the practices. And a lot of pending cases are going on right now. And the last president, Barchi, kind of just, tossed it and left it for the new president, Holloway, to handle that. So yeah, there was a lot of unanswered questions during that Q&A session, but overall, yeah, he had a really nice bookshelf. So there was that, and I yield my time back.
Thank you. Would any of the university senators representing SPA or any of the other academic schools like to report on the meeting? Do I hear any requests for recognition from any of the other academic school university senator representatives? Okay, if you would like to give your report at a later point, it will most likely be during open comment, just request to be recognized. I would like to remind everyone here in the Senate that your responsibilities do not begin and end with the Monday meetings. As a representative in the student government, you're not just supposed to show up, you also are here to represent and report and actively advocate for all student interests. I understand there was some confusion potentially regarding attendance, but if there are any issues, please contact me. I know there's a little bit of confusion also because of my dual role in joining the University Senate later on in the previous year. In the future, all university senators will just serve as such. But to just add on to the previous comments made by the other university senators, there was a speech given by President Jonathan Holloway. You should be able to find that available online. I thought that he spoke fairly eloquently, had a beautiful bookshelf, but I was impressed by the fact that he mentioned the labor disputes and um, any of those issues at all, to be honest, and how he spoke to his commitment to tackling them. I'm glad that he made himself open and available, and hopefully we'll see some action on that from moving forwards. Within the Finance Committee, excuse me, just one moment. Sorry. Within the Finances Committee, the charge that we're currently looking at is regarding student fees. Unfortunately, the role of committees and University Senate is that we can only make recommendations to the President and the Board of Governors, and we're only in an advisory role. We are not a legislative body, and we cannot make them do anything. But the charge was to see whether or not the separately listed student fees, like the campus fee, tutor fee, school fee, should be included within the tuition overall, or whether or not it should remain separate. Our chair, Manheim Spiegel, was of the opinion that it should all be included within tuition because all of these are essential services for one to pursue an education. But we're looking and we're going to collect further feedback from students and continue to examine that. We also briefly brought up the fact that Rutgers Division I athletics, since we joined the Big Ten, has been an enormous leak in our financials and has been drawing from sources of funding from student tuition, increasing the amount they get from student tuition 400% from 2016-2017 to 2017-2018, and that the fact that they're not able to be independent. We're not sure as to where we stand about any any action, I guess, from the committee on that point. But that's something we're also aware of and looking into, especially within this current time when the university is facing some financial difficulties. And I believe that's all for my end on University Senate. Next item on the agenda, excuse me, I believe is the media senators. So if they would like to ask to be recognized.
May I be recognized to speak?
Recognized.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Akwe Borte, one of the media senators, and I just wanted to touch a little bit on the things that we need to address at the meeting. So far I'm happy to announce that almost everyone in the SGA, all members of the SGA, including executive members, have been able to go on our Instagram stories and introduce themselves to the student body. If you haven't reached out and you're not interested in doing the Instagram takeover, I would advise that you send us, either Afnan or I, a photo of yourself and including your position, roles you play in the SGA, and we could post it on our story so we could keep in the highlights and students may know who you are, who their representatives are. Also, regarding office hours, so I know our speaker, the Senate, has reached out to a lot of us regarding the office hours. So if you haven't put in your office hours, please, and I say please, because like we all have a responsibility to represent our student body, and that is very important. Um, at the bare minimum, we have to have the time to speak to people, and 1 hour out of your entire week isn't, I don't think, would it be really bad. So please fill in your office hours so we could work on publicizing that. And also, I wanted to speak a little bit about SGA engagement. So I know that the semester has been entirely virtual. I mean, for the most part of it, but the media senators, often and I, have been discussing about how we can engage more with, even we even discussed with the Speaker of the Senate about how we can engage more with the student body. We thought about having events, having interviews, probably speaking, having awareness events. If any senators interested in doing any of that, please reach out to us, because that is, we are your resource and we want you to use us as your media senators. Regarding town halls and all of that, you could also reach out to us, discuss about how you could have town halls for your various schools and constituents, so you could like really speak to your your school, the student body, basically. So please feel free to reach out to us. We really want to work with you. We don't want it to seem, as Harrison mentioned, we don't want it to seem as if all we do in the SG is just come to meetings every Monday and that's it. We go to school and work on our homeworks and work and all of that. But we have other responsibilities besides coming to meetings. So please, 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 um, you could have meetings with us and we could work on um, engaging the student body and making sure that we are representing them and we don't just stand as SGA with a name tag and not actually working according to what our responsibilities are. So the Afin and I are also planning on creating the media committee. We are still working on the document and probably yeah, probably by the end of today would have a working document and we'll share it to everyone, and hopefully by next Monday would have the media committee established. Some things we want to work on is a website. um, I know that like there's a lot of information that the SGA needs to give to the student body, so we thought of making a website, and that would be a very great resource for students to reach out where they can find all the information that they need. And awareness events, as I mentioned before, if anyone's interested in having any events, please reach out to us so we could plan and discuss on how we could carry that out. So if there's any questions, you're free to ask. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. If I may, will this be a standing committee that will continue into future years and be written into our bylaws, or is this intended to just be a special ad hoc committee for this academic year?
May I request to speak?
Recognized.
For the most part of it, we want this committee to be standing and not just for this semester. So yeah.
Thank you. Um, hopefully the elections committee can also reach out to you and the media committee when it is formed as well for support regarding advertising that and setting that up with students. I encourage the rest of the Senate, if you have any events that you would like to promote or create as a senator or collaborations with other clubs, please don't hesitate to reach out to them as well. All right, thank you. Moving along, now we're at old business. At the last meeting, there was a motion to postpone the main motion regarding Professor Douglas Coates' statements to this current meeting, which is September the 28th. So the motion before the floor is the statements made by the professor and what the Senate will do to address it. You may request recognition to begin debate regarding this issue or propose a potential way to resolve this.
May I request the floor?
Before I recognize the president, I was given forward notice that there were senators who who want to speak on the issue or had a meeting regarding this. Okay, I'd recognize the president.
Okay, so yeah, I think we mentioned like the academic advisory committees before that was like being discussed. You know, if that's something you want to do, sure. We just have to think about the longevity of that. And the faculty member in question has to like agree to have like a student committee. But I mean, we could look into that. I think that's Dean Williams here. Dean Williams, if you're there, I don't know if you can give us any updates and if anything's happened in the last week regarding this.
Can everyone, are you all?
Yep, we can hear you. Thank you, Dean Williams.
Okay, sorry about that. So I know that students were provided with the contact information for the Dean of Arts and Sciences, and that the Dean was actually very open to meeting. I'm not sure if that meeting happened, but I know that that was where we kind of left things off on the student government side. I also know on the administrative side that there were, at this point, it sounds as if the professor has been removed from, at this point, teaching the course, and that there is kind of, they're reviewing some items. I'm not at liberty to say, simply because number one, I'm not aware of all of the details. And number two, I do realize that this is probably something of an internal issue, but at the time, the professor is not, is no longer in the course for the time being. I don't know if that answered the question.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like a major update. Yeah, so I yield my time to the Senate.
The motion is now before the floor. Please ask to be recognized to speak on this issue. And I'll be sharing my screen with the screenshot that was shared with our SAS and academic senators.
Mr. Chairman, may I be recognized? This is
Recognized speaker.
Thank you. So yeah, I just want to relay what information I got from our SASN senators after their meeting, just to clear a couple things up. So I'm basically just going to be reading what Sweetha said to me, since she could not be here today. So she said, as a starting point, Dean Mattis said it would really help to encourage the students from that class to either email her directly or Lisa Gross-Krutz in the Office of Employment Equity about the professor's email, as well as any other past incidents with this professor. So I'm going to be reaching out to the students who that email was sent out to for them, and try to get them to, file like the email that was requested. And also in their meeting, they said that the SGA is free to make a public statement of condemnation on his actions and behavior. I hope you guys can hear me. Sorry, my connection's really bad, but I yield my time.
All right, we can hear you. Thank you, speaker. I want to clarify that, see some comments. I do want to clarify that whatever action the SGA takes is before the legislative body in general, and as a whole. Like, should you guys decide to release a condemnatory statement or, issue a press release, send out an email, whatever action you take is completely before the body, but you all must make a motion and successfully vote on it.
Mr. Chairman, may I request the floor?
Recognized.
Cool. I just wanted to put a question out there for one of the SASN senators. If they can follow up with us with any info, if there was any contact with the academic dean, and see if if not, if we can set a meeting up soon so that we have some type of timeline to work with. And then I guess from there on, we can decide as a Senate as to whether or not we should do a public condemnation after the meeting, or if we should just go forth anyways.
So I believe one of the academic
get my time.
senators, thank you. Sorry to interrupt. I believe one of the academic senators had issues connecting. If the SASN senator would be able to speak more in depth about what happened at the meeting. Yes, if the SASN senator would like to speak to what happened in the meeting, or if the university senator would like to put their question in the chat.
Hi guys, I'm so sorry. I'm having like really bad connection issues. But yeah, so me and Sweeta had our meeting, I believe, on Friday. And we just discussed our ideas on what we want to do for the upcoming, semester / like our time here. And something that we discussed was that we would like to create a tab on the SASN website, where students will be able to access research opportunities more easily, where there will be, the teacher's name, what they're doing, a description of their research, because we kind of felt that it was hard to like kind of reach out to people or like even know who's available and who is open to accepting research students. And then alongside this, we also had talked about doing a possible panel, which is still like in the works. We're not really sure how that's going to work because of COVID. And we wanted to bring people of like, I guess, higher like education status, like after undergrad, such as like lawyers, doctors, dentists, psychologists, etc., in order to like talk to students, tell them what they should do. Would the senator post the question? Oh, sorry. Anyways, I thought someone was telling me something. So yeah, that's a panel that we'd like to work on. Alongside this, we also spoke about how we want to, let me recall. there is this organization that the dean is part of, and I believe it only applies to psychology students, if I'm not mistaken. But it's a program in where this association funds students that want to get their PhD or graduate degrees. So it's like a scholarship that students will apply for. And we were planning on doing a seminar, I believe, on how students can apply. And then the final thing that we discussed was the situation that we had talked about previously in the other meeting, regarding, I believe, Professor Douglas, I believe. Um, and she basically gave us her input, and she said that it's kind of up to us, like what we want to do, and that the students that were having those issues should reach out to, I believe her name is Lisa, and she would be able to like handle what they could do going forward, which we had like sent all this information to Tanvi. So I believe she's gonna get in contact with those students and tell them that they can speak to Lisa, try to figure out the situation, and then if we want, we can like put out a message to the students and say that like we don't agree with these actions. And yeah, and we're just gonna wait on an update from Tanvi after the students respond to her, and that's basically it from the SASN senators.
Yeah. If I just may interject a question, have you heard anything from the students, or have you or the other SASN senator been able to reach out to any of the students within their class and assess what their response is or what they would like the SGA to do?
So when we were speaking to the dean, she just told us for now to kind of get the side of those students, the ones that brought up the issue to us, and then go from there. So that's what we were planning on doing.
Okay, so we have not managed to contact those students yet.
According to Tomby had not told us anything yet, so I don't think so.
Okay, thank
May
you.
I be recognized, Mr. Chairman?
Recognize, thank you.
Thank you. So yeah, I haven't heard back from the students yet. However, my initial contact with the person who told me about this incident, they want SGA to make a statement, and they want us to do something. However, I have not heard back about like them sending emails on their part. I will reach out once again, and hopefully I can have that information for you guys by the time of our next meeting. But I will also keep you guys updated through the group chats that we have going on. So yeah, that's all I have for now. I yield my time.
Thank you. So the motion is once again before the floor. Do I hear a motion to address this issue in any capacity? Would any senator like to speak further on this?
Mr. Speaker, may I have the floor?
Recognized.
All right, so seeing that the meeting has happened and we've heard from what the dean has suggested us to do, I think it's now, I guess, appropriate for us to go with what the students have asked at the beginning, which is to make a public statement, make a public condemnation of, with what this professor had said to their class. So yeah, so I don't know. I guess I want to ask everyone else. This is a question for everyone else in the Senate. Like, how should we go about this? Like, what should we say in this public condemnation? And you, my time.
Mr. Chairman, may I be recognized?
Recognized.
To kind of discuss what Ricky posed, what question he posed, like what should we include on our statement. I think that First, we should definitely acknowledge that everyone, we brought this up in the last meeting, that everyone does have the right to free speech. Like, who are we to say that they don't? However, I do think that we need to point out and highlight that his speech was hate speech. It wasn't, yes, we have free speech, but what he said was hate speech, and that should not be allowed, and we are condemning hate speech. And that we should just essentially like write something about how he, like, the video didn't have anything to do with what he said, so, or the class in general. So he basically just felt the need to impose his own opinions and subjugate the students to listening to his opinions by sharing his thoughts in an email, which seems very wrong, and it seems like he's creating some sort of a hostile environment for the students, because it directly affects minority students from based on what he said. So I think that that's what we should discuss. I yield my time.
Mr. Chairman, permission to be recognized.
Recognized.
Thank you. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe in the last meeting, someone stated that this wasn't the first time something like this happened with the same professor. So I think we should definitely address that. This has been an ongoing issue, not a one-time thing. I yield my time. Thank you.
Permission to speak.
Recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. I also believe that what he said was outright wrong. And while I also agree with Tanvi saying that we should condemn the hate speech element, I also think it's important to highlight how he is incorrect. Because he says that in 2001, there was a broad consensus in the US that all people should be equal before the law. I would hold that sentiment to still be true. And if anything, it has flipped from where he is, from what he's implying. Because as we can see with recent events and all the injustice that's been going on, I think we need to highlight that as well, because that's obviously something that he has not considered or is at least ignorant to. So I think we should also put that out as well when addressing this, so that we can show not only are we against hate speech, but we're also for improving the injustices that are ongoing in our country today. And I yield my time.
Thank you, Arvia Senator. Do I hear a motion from the floor regarding the specific action any engagement will have, whether that's a resolution, whether that's an email, anything along those lines?
Mr. Chairman, may I be recognized?
Recognized.
Sorry, wait, sorry, the connection. Did you say recognize? Oh, okay, thank you. So yeah, I would like to motion to take a vote on putting out a public statement on our social media, and also sending the public statement out on an email.
I second that.
So there is a motion to put a public statement out via email and social media. It's been seconded by University Senator Ricky Castaneda. Now that the motion has been moved and seconded, do I hear any discussion from the floor? Please address the discussion either in speaking in favor of or speaking against.
Permission to be recognized, Mr. Chairman.
Recognized.
I'm not, like, it's kind of a question to, like, do you guys think we should have him, of course, issue an apology or take back what he said? I think that would definitely make a difference, unless you guys think otherwise. But he should definitely address, like, what he did was wrong.
So to make sure I'm getting this correctly, am I hearing a motion to amend the main motion and also include the request, also call upon Professor Douglas Coate to issue an apology? Seems like we're having some connectivity issues.
Permission to be recognized, please.
Recognize the motion before the floor is the issuing of a public statement via email and social media regarding Professor Douglas Coate.
So I am in favor for the post on the social media and an email, but regarding the apology, it seems like whatever he was stating in that email, it seems like he was being really sincere about what he believes in, right? So I feel like, one, we should not be forcing him to apologize, because if he apologizes to students, it's just gonna be like BS, kind of like he does not mean his apology, because that's genuinely what he believed in, and he expressed that in that email. And I think students receiving an apology, it's just like if it's not sincere and genuine, like students do not want it, right? And that email was pretty clear in what he wanted to say and what he believed in. I yield my time.
Thank you, Senator. So there has been no amendment to the main motion yet. The motion before the floor and open to debate is still the issuing of a public statement regarding Professor Douglas Coates' email in the form of a social media and email out to the students.
Permission to be recognized, Mr. Chairman.
Recognized.
After hearing what the Sasson Senator University said, I do agree with her. I think, yeah, if he does say anything, it wouldn't be sincere and it would be unacceptable. So I strike the motion to amend the original.
You're okay. Thank you. Okay. Is there any further discussion from the floor, either for or against this main motion? Or do I hear any other motions to amend? Hearing no further discussion, it has been motioned and seconded, and we'll now put it to a vote to make a public statement. All those in favor of making a public statement against Professor Douglas Coates' comments in the form of social media and email, say aye.
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 And also all those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. And the Senate will create a public statement to be sent out in the form of social media as well as email. I would like to charge the Speaker of the Senate, Tanvi Patel, to organize this efforts and also collaborate with our media team. So thank you. All right, moving on to the next, or now we're on new business. So we have several absences to approve. If there is no objection, we will approve the absence of Sweta Sassen Senator for her med school interview. All right. Or sorry, med school orientation. Hearing no objection, her absence has been approved. Make sure you guys reach out to her, let her know, like ask her how it went. Moving along, managed to make it, so we'll take that off. Hope your host of meeting went well. And then we have an absence from Kevin Nelson or Kenneth Nelson, I'm not sure. Let's see what I can. If there is no objection, we will approve the absence of Ken Nelson, University Senator. All right, hearing no objection, the absence has also been excused. Now to talk about Judicial Council. So this is it within Bylaw 203, Section 2, which states who will appoint people to the Judicial Council positions. The Chief of Arbitration and one associate arbitrator will be nominated by the President and voted on the Senate, and 3 associate arbitrators will be nominated and voted on by the Senate by a 2/3 majority vote of a duly constituted Senate meeting. Okay. You require a 3-point GPA, must know Robert's Rules of Order, and they will be interpreting the charter and bylaws, as well as any charges against different branches of government or against the SGA as a whole. I believe that there are some appointees currently within the meeting, if the president would like to be recognized.
Thank you. Okay, so Judicial Council, right? Historically, at least for a long time, it really hasn't played a major role in our student government, and it should. So, right, in past years, it'd just be like, okay, we've appointed some people and they would just kind of be there, in case something happens, right? But, we want the Judicial Council to be active and play an active role in elections, how they function with the elections committee, and also just looking over our charter, bylaws, and things that are passed, keeping the executive board accountable, right? Just kind of playing the role that they're supposed to play, right? So I have my 2 appointees. So I'm just going to say some brief words on them, respectively, and then they, Chairman could take the floor and speak on their behalf, and then discussion can be made, vote, etc., to confirm. So there are 5 members on the Judicial Council, right? Just to recap, I'm appointing my 2, the chief, and 1 additional arbitrator. They're arbitrators, not justices. And then at the next meeting and so forth, you all can bring forward other nominations, and hopefully, the next week or 2, we can have a full Judicial Council for the year. So for chief, I'm appointing Abbas Chaudhry. So he was a student affairs senator, and I think that experience of being a senator is something we want for the chief to have if we're going to revamp Judicial Council for the first time. So I think that'll be very helpful. He's also a law track student, and he's a doer. So he can speak more on his desire in the forthcoming moments. Chairman, do you want me to speak on the other appointee, or do you want to proceed to Abbas speaking on his behalf?
We'll handle it 1 nomination at a time.
Okay, so I yield my time.
The chair recognizes Abbas. Good to see you again.
It's good to see you guys too. All right, yeah, so can you guys hear me good? All right, cool. So for those of you who don't know, I'm Abbas. Like Dylan said, I was on the SGA last year. I'm the guy who had the notorious name tag that spells my own name wrong. So I was voted to fill in a position last year around October or November as a student affairs senator. I really enjoyed being on SGA. It's a place where everybody doesn't just talk about doing impactful things, they actually do it. And Rutgers is arguably one of the most impactful institutions for students in New Jersey, which says a lot because New Jersey has some pretty good schools. And SGA is arguably one of the most impactful parts of Rutgers as student leaders. And as we know, Rutgers Newark, the most diverse school in the nation, 21 years running? But while I was on SGA, I kind of felt underutilized. And although this was thankfully starting to get addressed at the end of last year, how there wasn't really a good transitional period for new senators learning how everything is done, and not just that, but why it's done. Thankfully, at the end of last year, Akwe was at the forefront of tackling this issue. But I remember Kevin and I had felt the same way throughout the entire time while we were on. That's obviously neither here nor there at this point, because like I said, it was addressed and I'm not being nominated for a senator position, but I'd still like to give back. And I believe this position is the one where I can do that best, especially with everything going on. A little background, I'm a criminal justice major while double minoring in political science and legal studies. And as Dylan said, I'm law school bound. I'm currently a senior. And honestly, I actually feel more comfortable with this position than as a senator, because here there's a lot more reading for review and debate on the legality of bills, decisions, actions, and any issue within SGA and committees, which is basically what I already do in all my classes. So, I'm actually studying this because I like it, and I'd like to think I'm kind of good at it. I understand that this would definitely require a huge time commitment, and I already work 20 hours a week while balancing 18 credits, which I view as a plus because I've been doing that every semester of college for the past few years, so I'm used to it. And SGA was a huge time commitment, and I made that pretty well. In fact, I have more time now with Corona going on and everything being online because my commute was about an hour to Rutgers and an hour back. So now I'm saving 10 hours a week, which is pretty awesome. So I'd like to invest that in the SGA and helping out Rutgers Newark. Lastly, my understanding of the position is the council, as Dylan had said, would keep the SGA accountable, but specifically the elections committee, because I felt the past few elections, not just last year, but the year before that, there was a lot of confusion going on with a lot of decisions that were made or weren't being made. And I think a huge issue is not only decisions that are made, but why they're made. I know last year I felt like a headless chicken during election season. And when there were issues that were brought up, they either weren't addressed with any reasoning, or when they were addressed pretty much on the last day, which doesn't really help anyone. And like I said, this is a huge time commitment, and that's something that I can definitely make. And with any issue with other associate members on the Judicial Council, we'd like to tackle them as soon as possible. And yeah, I think this is a good opportunity to give back. Thank you.
Thank you, boss. We're getting a very detailed overview. I do want to clarify that while the Judicial Council is the arbitrator on the matters of the bylaws, there is a nebulous section in Bylaw 701, Section 3, which may be the source of previous issues in the past, but it says the Elections Committee is hereby vested with the authority to interpret, amend, or waive any provisions of the Level 700 bylaws. So I look forward to working with you, hopefully in the Internal Affairs Committee. But if there is no discussion from the Senate, we will be doing a 2/3 vote to confirm our president's appointments for the chief arbitrator by roll call. Okay. If there is no discussion, if our secretary
Mr. Chairman, can I request the floor?
Of course, recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Quick question. Because I know usually with, I don't know if I missed it on the email, so if I did, please let me know. But usually with Senate, like when we're nominating like for arbitrators and stuff, we kind of get like a resume and like an idea to go back. My only reasoning, and this is going to be my opinion with all the nominees that we have today, because I'm not entirely sure or aware of like the nominees of today. I think we as a Senate need more time to like kind of read and know who we are appointing to the Judicial Council before voting on it. At least this is my personal opinion. I do not feel comfortable with any nomination today. Just to, kind of like, I guess we could get like a brief introduction of everyone today. And then we can possibly, like, I guess, motion to table to the next meeting, so that once we got all the details and such, we can definitely vote whether or not to confirm the nominees for today. That's just my suggestion. I don't know if anyone else shares any similar things, because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, are we voting today?
Well, that is before the Senate. The president has or is in the process of presenting his appointed individuals for the Judicial Council. But am I hearing a motion to postpone this to the following meeting?
I may be recognized to speak.
Well, I believe the university senator still has the floor at the moment.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No worries.
Oh, yes. My bad. I saw the floor. So yeah, so actually, as a suggestion for everyone in the Senate, if anyone else shares similar feelings, like for Judicial Council, as Dylan mentioned, like it's been a position that's kind of like we've nominated and then it's just there when we need it, but it could potentially be a position or a branch that could be potentially be of good use for the government. So I think that, like, if we are gonna appoint people there, that I think as a Senate, we definitely need time to, like, evaluate, look at people's resumes, and then make a decision from there. I think that's not, I don't think it's appropriate for us to, like, just meet them on the spot and then we vote on them right away. So if anyone else has any comments, suggest we talk about comments before motioning to do anything, motioning to vote or motioning to table to the next meeting. So I will yield my time back.
Thank you. I will clarify that the Judicial Council is intended to be sort of checks and balances and check the power of the legislative branch. If they pass any legislation that is contradictory to the bylaws or the charter as interpreted by the judicial branch. Are there any other senators who wish to be recognized regarding the appointment of Abbas to chief arbitrator by the president? Do I hear a motion regarding the appointments?
Motion to table to the next SGA meeting.
Okay.
I got a second.
So I'm hearing a motion from the University Senator Ricky Castaneda to postpone the appointments of chief arbitrator by the president to the following meeting, which would be October 5th. Do I hear a second to the motion to postpone?
A second.
So it has been motioned by Ricky Castaneda and seconded by RBS Senator Robert Jones. It is now before the floor. Wait, give me one moment. I need to go through this. It has been motioned and seconded. It is now before the floor to discuss before it is put to a majority vote.
May I request the floor, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, since you proposed a motion, you have the right to priority of being recognized. So thank you, University Senator.
Perfect, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I just want to basically, reiterate what I said earlier about Judicial Council and our nominees. I mean, granted, we should take seriously all our positions from the legislative branch onwards to the judicial and the executive branches. So with that being said, like, I feel super seriously and committed to, like, for like our future of the Judicial Council and our government in general, to, like, make sure we set the processes and president a solid one. And so I think that, like, by voting just immediately and not having all the information that we have possible for any nominee, and yes, Abbas, I'll address you by name because I just want to make sure that this is not a personal thing at all.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Like,
Don't worry.
I just want. It's just that, like, I think that we need to just be sure that, like, the process is like cool, like we vetted everyone, because I'm not even sure who the other nominees are either. So, and I will be doing the same thing for the, I don't know if it's 2 other nominees that we have today, but I'll be doing the same thing for the other 2 nominees that we're gonna, if no one else decides to motion at the table, that I will be tabling these next 2 nominees, present ourselves, thank you for being here. And then we're probably gonna request for more information. So with that being said, yes, with that being said, that is why I wanna motion the table, just so that we can continue looking into all our nominees, you know, their background, resume that they got, any other concern that any other senator might have that they might not want to bring up at the moment, they want to deliberate in a Senate caucus, we can do that, and then we can go and decide a vote next Monday. So that is all. I yield my time back to the floor.
Thank you, University Senator. I will remind everyone that it is 12:50, and if it's possible to continue our agenda, I would like to hear a motion to extend after this. But first, hearing no further comments, we will now move to a majority vote on the motion to postpone the appointment of the president's appointments, postpone the appointment of chief arbitrator to the following meeting. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay. And all those opposed say nay. Very well. The appointment has been postponed to the following meeting, which will be October the 5th. Do I hear a motion to extend the meeting time? Or a motion to adjourn before we finish the rest of the meeting? We still have a few items on the agenda. Do I hear a motion to extend the meeting time or adjourn?
Motion to extend the meeting time
By how many minutes?
by 20 minutes.
By 20 minutes. I will remind everyone that we may adjourn before the full extension, but the motion before the floor is to extend the meeting time by 20 minutes. Do I hear a second?
I second.
Okay, so it's been motioned by the Speaker of the Senate and seconded by our media senator, Akwe. It is before the floor. The only aspect that is debatable is, the only aspect that is amendable is the time element, and this may not be debated. Is there any motion to amend the time? Okay, seeing none, we'll now move to a 2/3 vote. If we can do it by hand, or sorry, why don't we do it by hand raise if possible? So those of you who were here earlier, we did attendance by hand raise. All those in favor of extending the meeting time, please raise your hands. Once again, all those in favor of extending the meeting time, if you are a voting member of the Senate, please raise your hands. Okay. Does our secretary have the hand raised counted? The names?
Sorry, 1 second.
No worries.
Yeah, there's a total of 7. I'm just putting it down in the minute.
Okay. And all those opposed? I got a screenshot, so I'll put that in the minutes. All those opposed, please raise your hands. Once again, all those opposed, please raise your hands. Okay, now I gotta do math real quick. Okay, so of the 16 votes, there were 7 yes, 7 in favor of extending and 9 opposed. We would need 11 opposed in order to we would need 11 opposed in order to not approve the extension. All those who voted in favor, you may reconsider your votes. But as it stands, the motion to extend the time for the SGA meeting is still before the floor. Or sorry, I'm counting 10 for, oh, okay, so Zahra, just raise your hand. For those of you who are raising your hands right now, this is for being opposed to the extension, or if you change your vote. We're still at 10 votes.
I got it.
Okay, so we have 1 vote change from affirmative to negative from RBS Senator Robert Jones. The voting record is in the minutes, and there will be no extension of the meeting time. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay. So
Second that motion.
It's been motioned and seconded. We'll take up the rest of the items of the agenda as old business at the following meeting. Thank you everyone for attending, and to the judicial appointees, I apologize for any inconvenience. Please email Run SGA your resumes and let us know what time you'll be available to present after talking with our president. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Have a good day.
Take care. Best of luck
Bye.
with classes. Stay well. You can end the live stream. I'll be staying on for a bit. What's up, y'all?
Hey Harrison, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, of course.
Um,